Is Monday, November 15th, 2021. Time is 5 p.m. We're going to call to order the City of Clewiston regular City Commission meeting. If you would stand with me, we're going to ask Pastor Jeff Smith of First United Methodist to open us in prayer. We'll be followed by the pledge to the flag.
Good afternoon.
Good evening.
Great to be with you all. Father, we just thank you for your presence in this place. Your word tells us that if we make ourselves available, you will supply the ability. And what a good God you are. We ask, Father, that you would work through these fine men and women and through all of the members of our community to make Clewiston truly that city on the hill. We love you and we praise you and we thank you for your presence here tonight. In Christ's name we pray. Amen.
Amen.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Seated. Mr. Martin, do we have any additions, deletions, or changes?
My understanding, Mayor and Commission, we have a request from one commissioner to have item H pulled from the consent agenda to allow that to be voted upon separately to avoid the appearance of a conflict of interest.
So we will remove item H and make that 1A under consent. All right.
Thank you.
Yes, ma'am. Recommended motion is to approve the consent agenda. Do we have a motion?
So moved.
Second.
Motion by Thompson, second by Pittman. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
1A is the Clewiston Chamber of Commerce Annual Dinner Event Application.
Move we approve.
Motion by Pittman.
Let the record show I don't vote on this.
Okay, we're going to have an abstain by, we have a second by Gardner. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Hearing none, motion carries. Public comments. At this time, any person is invited to come and speak. If you would state your name and address for us. Yes, ma'am.
Christian School.
Christian.
Hello, I'm Lynette Leyva. I'm representing Clewiston Christian School at 601 Caribbean Avenue. Quick memory there. Anyway, I just want to thank all of the City Commission for considering our Student Council's application for conducting a live nativity on December the 10th. They are working diligently planning this event. And so we have our senior council leaders here. These are the members of the senior class. And I just hope that you will approve this. This is something they feel strongly about with regard to community outreach and spreading the word of God in the community at Christmas time. So thank you for your time.
And that was in our consent agenda, so that has been approved.
Okay, awesome. Thank
Yes,
you very
ma'am.
much.
Thank you. Thank you to all of you.
And thank you for the effort.
Come say something?
This is, or maybe they'd like to introduce themselves for the record. Each of them. Just state your name. You want to come up and just state your name for the record? That way we have it.
Yeah. The only way to feel more comfortable is to do it.
Yes.
It's good
There's
to know
only
we
one-
have we have kids that want to put Christ back in Christmas.
Yes.
And there's only one up here that growls. So, and that's that guy. So don't get too close to him.
I'm Brianna Messer, and I'm Secretary of Student Council.
I'm Dustin Wynn, and I'm the Treasurer of Student Council at CCHS.
Hi, I'm Isai Villela. I'm Chaplain at Student Council at CCHS.
Well done.
Hi, I'm Andrea Marrero, and I'm President of the Student Council, and this is my wonderful team.
Very good.
Wonderful.
My name is Chris Alston, and I'm the Vice President of Student Council, and I would like to thank all of you for approving this. Thank you.
Well done, Chris.
Thanks for coming.
Thank you. Look forward
Can't
to
wait
the
to see it.
event.
Yes, you are free. You are free. We're not even going to charge. God bless. Thank you very much.
Let's see.
I think that's going to be a great event.
Is it going to be in the park?
No, actually in the parking lot beside
the
the
water park.
They're going to,
park,
yeah.
beside the splash pad.
They did it years, the Presbyterian Church, I think, did it years ago, or maybe, I'm not sure what church it was, maybe it was Ministerial Association, but it was a drive-through nativity scene. I think this one's a little bit different, so I think it's great.
Awesome. Moving on, agenda number 2. This is ordinance number 2021-01, a public hearing, final reading. Background history, ordinance 2021-01 adopts the amendment to the City of Clewiston Comprehensive Plan to change the text on the city's current 10-year water supply facilities work plan. The city engineer, Andy Tilton, presented the draft ordinance for review and recommendation to the city's Planning and Zoning Board. Planning and Zoning Board met on June 14th, 2021, and recommended approval. Vote was 3-0. Members Hatham Kaki and Donnie Hughes were absent. City Commission approved the first reading of the ordinance on June 21st, and we set the public hearing for July 19th, 2021. Proposed ordinance and 10-year water supply facilities work plan was distributed to the State Land Planning Agency and various other agencies for review on June 25th. On July 19th, 2021, the City Commission continued the public hearing and final reading of the ordinance to August 16th. On August 16th, 21, the City Commission continued the public hearing and final reading of ordinance again to September 20th. On September 20th, 21, we continued the public hearing and final reading to October. City Commission continued the hearing to November 15th. Here we are. Comments have been received from the South Florida Water Management District. Staff is hopeful that action can be taken at the December 20th, 2021 Commission meeting. Recommends the public hearing and final reading of ordinance to be continued to December 20th, 2021.
And just a brief update, if I could.
Yes, sir.
The engineers here, Andy Tilton, consulting engineer, we have received these comments as mentioned. We're not sure if we will receive any others, but the engineer at this point, as I understand it, is incorporating the changes suggested by the South Florida Water Management, and that's what we'll bring to you in December and likely recommend action if we haven't received any other comments. If you want to give any further update, Danny.
Andy Tilton, for the record, just to confirm what the manager said, we rarely get comments from any other agency other than the Water Management District, so I suspect we will get none others. So when we get these answered and processed, and a lot of the things are things that they want to add a few more hooks into your plan, which is normal. We start out asking for fewer hooks, and they usually ask for more hooks. We often know what those hooks are going to be, but if they don't pick them up, we'd rather them not be there, and you'd have less obligations that way.
Okay, thank you, Andy. Recommended motion is continue the public hearing and final reading of ordinance number 2021-01 to December 20th of 2021. Do we have a motion? Motion by Heislope, second by Gardner. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Hearing none, the motion carries. Moving on to agenda item number 3. Yes, ma'am.
That item was advertised for 5:30, so
we need to hold it.
maybe hold it.
Yes, ma'am. Okay, we'll come back to that.
Thank you, Kathy. Keeping it, yeah,
That's okay.
I'm glad you remembered.
Good.
We will come back to agenda item number 3. Agenda item number 4. This is a first reading of ordinance number 2021-06, which consents to Henry County, Florida, establishing a municipal service benefit unit known as the Emergency Medical Services Municipal Services Benefit Unit, EMS-MSBU, to provide emergency medical services, and consents to the establishment of the EMS-MSBU within the city limits of the city of Clewiston. The matter was discussed by the City Commission at the November 16th, 2020 City Commission meeting, December 7th, 2020 City Commission workshop, and the December 21st, 2020 Commission meeting. Recommended motion is to approve ordinance number 2021-06 on the first reading and set the public hearing for December 20th, 2021. Do we have a motion?
So moved.
Moved by Pittman. Do we have a second?
Second.
Second by Thompson. Do we have any discussion?
If the city manager, I know that he's been attending the county commission meetings, if he could just kind of, I know that there was a meeting not too long ago.
Yes, they met last week and introduced this topic again. As you've read the history of it here, I won't belabor that it was deferred till this year. They plan to also have a meeting at their December meeting with a public hearing and action, which I believe is scheduled prior to our meeting. It's anticipated they would take action on it. Of course, it is contingent upon concurrence by the city of LaBelle and Clewiston to allow this to occur within the city boundaries. The county obviously hasn't taken any action, so I don't know what the outcome. And of course, the net effect is if it's done timely this year, they could consider it and likely will consider action on it during the 22-23 budget process is the earliest that it can be implemented. And you've received a copy of the study that was presented to the board. I did hear the presentation, and I forwarded you last week in the agenda the summary of the PowerPoint presentation on the study that was done and the primary points brought out by the consultant. I'll be glad to answer any questions, but that's the status. If you approve this, then it'll be calendared on our next meeting for formal public hearing and final action on the resolution that's been prepared by the city attorney.
And from
Ordinance. I apologize.
Excuse me. And from your being at the meetings and hearing the conversations and plus having conversations with county staff, the intent is to reduce the millage
Yes,
as this MSBU goes into effect?
And as you saw in the study, they did project what that would be and presented that at the meeting in the PowerPoint. I believe it was over 0.8 meals of 1 meal was what they projected. The county did discuss service enhancement that they'll be considering in the next budget cycle, assuming this goes forward, during which they're going to consider adding, and it's reflected in their projected budget, another ambulance unit in the county, and which will obviously increase cost. And that's to improve service levels. I see that as a positive for the city of Clewiston in that currently we have 2 ambulances, but one of them is stationed part of the time in the center, more to the central part of the county. That would eliminate the need for that, as I understand it, because they would have an established full-time unit in that area. And that would benefit us. And also, as I stated in my update to you, I see other potential implications, but we can discuss all of those at your December meeting if you approve tonight's scheduling the public hearing.
So that essentially it's going to reduce that taxing by 0.8 and yet still provide another ambulance.
Yes, as I
And
understand.
make sure that those who are paying for those services, that's fair, equitable, and across the board.
And that was
cost-sharing.
the primary discussion at the county level thus far, is trying to have a more equitable situation that's fair to all users, considering that the current system excludes a goodly number of the primary recipients. I think it's 70% of the recipients, or in terms of the users of the service, are residential units, and a significant portion of those are precluded or excluded from currently paying anything for it because of the taxing structure utilizing the ad valorem property tax method. This would change that. Also, it was clear in the study that the vast majority of the calls are not related to businesses and industries who pay, it could be argued, a disproportionate share of the cost because of their values of their property for service they do not see as much benefit from. Those were the primary points brought out.
Thank you.
That was interesting. And I guess the attorneys reviewed it. I know we've been talking about this for almost a year, so.
I have.
Okay.
Everything looks good to me.
Okay. Thank you, sir. With that, I'll make
just make a comment for clarification for the public. And if I'm reading this right, you correct me if I'm, but the MSBU for this EMS is going to approximately be $148,
For residents.
anywhere between $145 and $148 per residential household. One thing the study did not have in here, which was asked for by Commissioner McGahee, was how many of those houses that have the zero ad valorem because of the price of their home. How many of those now are going to be hit with the 145 when they were? And I'm not saying it's fair or not fair. It's not in the report. So I think it's something that we or the county need to make sure we get that message out there to those homes.
Well, I think the simple answer is all of them. I don't know the exact numbers, but all of them will be treated
Yeah, I understand all of
equitably.
them. Yeah.
I don't know the exact numbers, and I'm not sure that the county's been provided that, because part of the early notice is to give it to the property appraiser, who will then apply it and give real numbers.
Yeah, I understand this is coming down the road,
So
but
it'll come during this fiscal year that's upcoming.
so and that was my next question. What's the anticipated date?
The property tax appraiser, as I understand it, has until, I believe it's April, to give the county the numbers, and based on this action and based on the study. And then the county would have until the end of September, obviously, to adopt a budget ordinance that would take effect October 1 of 23. I believe my math's right.
And that's an annual, you mentioned the 145 to 148, that's an annual assessment.
Correct, yes.
I just wanted to clarify that, because I hope nobody would think it would be a monthly assessment.
No, that would be annual, as I
Yeah.
understand.
Randy, is that going to be assessed on churches too?
No, they're excluded.
In the language
The
or
church
just in
residences,
intent?
church parsonages or residences would be, but not the church themselves. That specifically was listed as continue to be an exemption.
And what checks and balances are on that rate?
Well, the county commission is responsible for establishing it annually during their budget process, and they're required to have a public hearing and all the other requirements. And they're required to rely on this study in establishing it. So to modify it appreciably, other than, I guess, COLAs or whatever, it would have to have a new study if they change it appreciably, the categories or any of the.
How about manpower or equipment?
That's up to the county. Since they provide that service countywide, they will be responsible to fully fund that. But they fully fund it through primarily two sources. If this is approved, they would fund it primarily through the MSBU or the assessments. And then the second source is the revenues that are received from insurance proceeds and others by the users. And that's currently the same as it is now. The only change is it would be the portion from the MSBU would be replacing what they have historically received from the ad valorem.
So Port LaBelle, and there's a new community that's fixing to be developed outside Port LaBelle, 3,000 something lots can be built on now. So if they need to increase manpower and ambulances for that, that would increase the rate countywide. Would that be correct?
It would have an impact. Of course, it'd be the economies of scale, the impact of the additional revenues of the new homes. They would then be paying into it. And the study is supposed to be predicated on that growth. It would be, I think it would be revenue neutral up to a certain point. Obviously, if you had, I guess, the numbers, it would be the same scenario as if some of the new developments proposed in the Clewiston are constructed. It will be assessed to those properties annually as they're built going forward, and that would produce additional revenue. Of course, the county at this point is only looking at adding one ambulance unit, but somewhere down the road that may change. Of course, as you know from the proposed ordinance, this is an annual process, and either city can elect to give a year's notice to change it if conditions warranted, and we're concerned about that.
That's the big check and balance on this. If you don't like like what the county's doing, you can get out.
Correct.
Is there any way we can cut out parsonages?
We can't. The county could, because they'll be the one assessing it. You could recommend that. I don't know how many of those are affected. I guess they'll get those numbers along with the same thing Commissioner Pittman was talking about. When the property appraiser goes into the numbers, they'll have the exact, but
Because they currently don't. They're exempt.
well, under property tax rules, but they would be assessed this under the proposal, as I understand it, unless the commissioners change it. And it's still subject to change because those kind of things won't be finalized till by next September.
That'd be our county commissioners, not us.
Yes, and you could make that suggestion, whatever, and we could communicate that, and they could discuss it and consider it.
I'd appreciate it. We could.
If that's the consensus of the board after you act on this, I'll certainly be glad to convey any opinions you have on any changes, because they, again, won't be holding their public hearing until December, so there's time. And
I think it's minimal to the bottom line, but it's very important to me.
And I'm sorry, I didn't hear Commissioner Thompson's comment.
Suggestion was to recommend, I assume, if I'm wording correctly, to the county that they consider not including the parsonages, if you will, the church-owned residential units in the assessment. Like, they're not including the churches, but they are, as I understand it, planning to include, or considering, or it was recommended in the study, I guess, that they include the homes that are owned by churches, as I understand.
I guess my question would be on that is, that there's a lot of nonprofits that maybe own homes. Is that going to continue then? I mean, I understand that parsonages and preachers are very, very special to our community, but is that going to continue on a slippery slope then for other nonprofits that believe that they...
I definitely wouldn't compare churches to nonprofits.
Well, parsonage.
Yeah, and I think, I don't know the situation in this county, but I know in some jurisdictions I've worked in other states, churches owned more than just the parsonage. They owned apartments, rental units,
right,
townhouses, nursing homes, not nursing homes, but retirement homes. So that might play into the discussion on it, but I haven't heard any discussion at the county level on that bullet.
My view would be the church and the parsonage, a parsonage.
Yes, the church, a parsonage per church, if you will.
Do we have any other discussion or any other comments?
So do we have to vote on that in order for you to take it?
Well, on that part, but I would suggest you act on this, and then if you want to make that part of a separate action,
Okay.
just so it's clear to the county, your action here. But however you want to do it, you do need a motion
Well,
to.
we already have a motion.
You may want to
for
hear public comment.
the first
as well.
reading and set the public hearing for December 20th. We have a motion by Pittman and a second by Thompson. So we need to vote on that first and then come back and revisit the parsonages.
And you may want to hear public comment if there is any. I don't know.
And do we have any public comments on ordinance number 2021-06? Hearing none, we have a motion and a second. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Hearing none, motion carries. So we come back to the issue of parsonages.
I would agree. Let's at least, go down that road with the county and see their reasoning for why they wouldn't.
And we can clarify, not investment properties or anything, just the parsonage for the church.
Just the
Attached
financial
or not.
impact of that. Just, I think the request for them to look at it and give them financial impact. Yeah, but I can tell you that I recently had a conversation with somebody from Georgia, and they exempted anyone over 65 that's retired in Georgia. They exempt them from school taxes. So I think we could probably come up with a lot. People will start asking for a lot of maybe granting of less taxes. And so, and I don't think it's going to be a lot at $145 to $148. But I just, when the county looks at it, I'm sure they're looking at the big picture and what could happen. I mean, that's the state of Georgia. That's not an individual municipality. I don't think it might be a county, but I just was surprised by that. But yeah, anybody retired.
Definitely couldn't do that in Florida.
No.
Right.
And it might have been by county, but I just can't imagine. Yeah. We couldn't survive. Our school system wouldn't survive.
My understanding is the only action they're required to take before the end of December or by the end of December is to give notice that they're considering the MSBU. They wouldn't finalize the details of the assessment amount or whatever. They have to use this study to avoid potential critics and litigation. They're advised to use the study results, but they will have some flexibility. And now I'm sure that would be one that they would have flexibility on. So I'll be glad to communicate it if it's the consent of the entire or the majority of the board.
I just think just ask a question, and see what they say and come back. I mean, we have some time here.
Yeah, I could report back if well, I don't know if they'll discuss it this year, but
Well, it'd be on the record.
but it'll be in the record that you suggested they consider it or requested it.
I already have a hard enough hill taking some of that burden off large, wealthy landowners and put it on working men and women. At least we can do is not put it on churches.
Okay,
So we're in agreement how we're going to move
Well,
forward
is that just a
with this.
consensus?
And
that I
and you're going
suggest
to
this
get
to-
that
okay.
information and bring it back to us.
Well,
Okay.
I'll pose the question.
Pose the question.
And then ask that they give you feedback.
I would like the record to show that I do not agree.
Okay. But do you want to vote on it then, or?
No, that's fine.
Does somebody want to make a motion?
I move.
I'll second.
So we have a motion that we let the county know that you prefer not to have the parsonage taxed, that they want to be exempt,
Not to include investment
not to
property.
include it, but not the investment, only the parsonage. Right, that motion was by Thompson, second by Pittman. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed?
No.
Okay, so we have 4 and 1. Motion carries.
Okay. I'll convey that to the county.
Moving on to,
We're almost there if you want to go back. 5:30.
we have 3 minutes.
All right. If you want to take something else.
Agenda number 5,
And
resolution.
Madam Mayor, I will abstain from conversation and from discussion as well as voting on this item since the item before us concerns my employer.
Thank you. So duly noted. Resolution number 2021-117 authorizes the renewal of the irrevocable standby letter of credit from First Bank in the amount of $28,236 for 2 one-year periods pending the city attorney's review of the letter of credit renewal documents. Letter of credit guarantees the community aesthetic feature agreement between the city and FDOT and secures the city's obligation to restore the right-of-way in the event the local identification marker "Welcome to Clewiston" sign is removed. Cost for the renewal is $500, $250 per year. Financial impact is $500. The recommended motion is to approve Resolution 2021-117. Do we have anyone in the audience who wishes to comment on this? Recommended motion is to approve. Do we have a motion?
So moved.
Moved by Highslope. Do we have a second?
I'll second.
Second by Pittman. Discussion by the commission.
Yeah, I have a couple of questions on, is this something that will have to be done after these 2 years are over for perpetuity until that sign is gone?
Yep.
Okay, so is this something we have bid out, or is this an existing?
It's
letter
already,
line of credit?
it's the one we had, and I don't know the
I
process.
believe it was
the city-
bid to begin with,
Yeah, it was bid out, I guess, when the city
and now
started.
it's just renewals.
Is this the first renewal, Kathy? Yeah, I think it is. Or second one?
The second.
Second renewal. Okay, I wasn't sure.
I would suggest, just to be fair for other banks, is to maybe institute every 5 year, bid it out, maybe. I mean,
Whatever you want to do. Small amount of money.
I'm throwing that out to the commission. We're the ones that would have to. I mean, I haven't had anyone come up to me. I mean, I'm sure they don't make a whole lot of money off this, but.
And I just feel like when we start moving from place to place, things drop through the cracks. So for me, it's.
One thing I would love to do, I don't know if it's necessary to keep doing it every 2 years, if that's required by DOT or whoever. I don't know the history of that. Maybe Gary does, but it would be nice if we could do it less frequently, but I don't know that it'll make any difference in the pricing.
Is there any other mechanism they would let us use besides a letter of credit? Could the city not put something up?
Put up a cash bond.
Yeah, Sherry might.
I don't think you want to do that.
Yeah.
They're very difficult to get.
They're difficult to get.
But contractors, a bond like a contractor, and we tried that route. And in a contractor bond, I'm sure you know, it's like a certain date, the insurance company expects it to be done within a certain period. This is, as long as that sign's there.
Perpetual.
We have to do it, and it's legislative. So, you know that perhaps whenever we have our legislative wishes or talk for our representatives, LaBelle asked them to try to get that revised because LaBelle has to do 3 signs. So that could be something that the city could look into in the future, is maybe whenever you're talking to representatives, perhaps get some kind of legislative, because I mean, it's kind of crazy that we have to have a letter of credit for $28,000.
There's just so much per sign. I'm guessing they don't go out and evaluate what kind of sign you have.
Yes, they came up with what it would take to restore the property if something happened to the sign, and OT estimated that that's how much money it would take to restore the property to the way it was before the sign was placed on the right-of-way.
So we'll look at options and for the future. We got 1.5 years.
Yeah, no worries.
Before we bring it back. Okay.
So we have a motion by Hyslop. We have a second by Pittman. Is there any other discussion or questions? All those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed? Hearing none, the motion carries. Let's go back to agenda item number 4. Time is 5:32. This is the first reading. Nope, sorry.
Number 2.
Wrong one. Number 3. I apologize. Ordinance 2021-05 abandons a portion of the alley that adjoins the property of Robert and Whitney McCarthy located at 811 West Royal Palm Avenue. The applicants, Robert and Whitney McCarthy, are requesting an alley abandonment located at 811 West Royal Palm Avenue. Planning and Zoning Board met on October 11th. Recommended approval of the alley abandonment by a vote of 4-0. Board member Mickey McGahey was absent. First reading of ordinance 2021-05 was approved by the City Commission by a vote of 5-0 at the October 18th, 2021 City Commission meeting. Recommended motion is to approve ordinance 2021-05. This has been properly publicly noticed. Do we have any discussion from anyone in the audience? Do we have a motion?
Second.
Motion by Gardner, second by Pittman. Do we have any discussion by the commission? Any questions? All those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed? Hearing none, motion carries. Moving on, old business under item number 6. If you take a look at the city action agenda, is there anything on there you need to comment, question, compliment?
I know we have quite a bit of information for the January 2022 discussion. You'll be able to give that to us ahead of time, maybe after the December meeting, so we have time to discuss.
That was my plan, yes.
Okay.
For any finalized items for them. We may even have to have a workshop on it during that period too in January.
Okay.
And I was just reacting to the request to try to move some of these along, so I'm pushing myself to try to finalize them. But you don't have to finalize action at the January meeting. It's just to have a discussion.
Okay. Any comments on the financial reports? Any questions?
Continues to look better and better.
Yes, it does. Thank you. Mr. Martin, you have any comments?
Yes, just since it's a fairly quick meeting, I did want to give a couple of updates for the public's consumption. I've been keeping the commission advised of these, but just so that the public's aware of the status. We've got several, I'll call it, I guess is the right word, capital projects that are either underway or authorized, contracted, whatever. And particularly in the utility and public works area is going to be really busy in the next few months. We're making progress on a smaller project, the youth center project, which hopefully will be wound up before the end of the calendar year if all goes well. The contractors are slowly but surely moving along, and we're doing some in-house stuff involved with that. But that's progressing, and that's being funded with donations and some city in-kind labor. The East Ventura paving project has been awarded. The contractor we've had pre-construction discussions. We were waiting on third-party utilities to respond and take care of some issues where the drainage areas are being addressed. And Danny, I believe that's been taken care of now. The third party, one of the utility companies, Telephone, has finished their work. So we're ready. I expect them to mobilize anytime to begin that paving reconstruction project of East Ventura.
Yay.
I know a lot of people are interested in that one. Sort of in tandem to that, the Ventura Water Quality Project, we're progressing along. That's grant funded. The East Ventura paving, as you know, is partially grant funded, some local funding to supplement it. But the grant-funded water quality project for East Ventura and Ventura that is moving along. We had 90% plans review last week, and that project should be running in tandem. We're getting pricing from the East Ventura construction contractor, and we'll see where we stand on that. We've gotten the engineer's estimates of what it's going to cost with the tweaking that we did last week, but plans should be finalized, and we'll be moving to next steps on that portion very soon. Other big project in the utility area is the Army Corps of Engineers septic to sewer conversion. The contract's been awarded. We have an upcoming meeting, I think next week, on that project. That'll precede the actual notice to construct, just to go over logistics with all the parties. But that's moving along, and that's, of course, I call it grant funded by the federal government in its entirety. And of course, the biggest project is our advanced metering and infrastructure effort to replace all of our meters and upgrade our infrastructure substantially using partial grant funding and loan for the electric, grant funded for the water. That project, we had a great kickoff meeting last week with all the parties involved, and that's moving along, and they've going to have bi-weekly at least updates for the time being of next steps so that we get all the different things taken care of to allow that project to proceed expeditiously. I don't know if you want to add anything to that, Danny, but okay.
Excited.
But so a lot going on, and that's not everything, but those are the big ones. And of course, one big news item that was announced last week by the governor's office, the county was approved for $1.8 million in additional funding, which fully funds our wastewater project to provide the force main all the way to Everglades from our wastewater treatment plant. And that takes that out of the consideration for this year for the legislative funding, because they receive federal grant funding to fully fund the balance of the expected money to do that project. We are now focusing, and the county supporting us, our attention on fully funding the wastewater treatment plant upgrade, modernization, and expansion project, $13.5 million, and we have made that request to the legislature. for full funding of that, as well as other items, the water line project to go there to Everglades area along 27 Quarter West, and also our Francisco Street improvements to provide improved access to the lake. And I'll stop and answer any questions, but those are just some of the major items that are falling in the Public Works and Utilities area for the city. That'll encompass a lot of time and effort on part of staff and contractors over the next couple of years until they're all complete.
The I&I will start in January also.
Oh, the third phase of I&I. Good point.
Yes.
Thank you,
Start in
Dan.
January, go to July. That'll be your lift station repairs, change out pumps, rebuild lift stations, force main work, back truck, and some work to a little bit of work to the wastewater plant.
Randy, is Ventura going to be done as one project or two?
It'll be two separate documents, but it could end up being a change order to the original contract for the drainage if the price is right.
I mean, for the different sections, the different pieces.
Yes, they will be separate contracts as well. Depending on the timing of the next section from Dean Duff to W.C. Owen of the funding, it most likely will be bid separately and be a separate project. Just the scale of it, the amount of money involved, and the timing before we actually get a release of funds would likely be a separate project.
Did you mention the water line? Dean Duff?
No, sir. We just had a 90%, I believe it was 90% on that last week as well, and we'll be coming back with a contract hopefully to get bids and come back to you with a recommendation on that. And we're looking at phasing that, so depending on the money and right now our primary funding source of city funds would be from the American Rescue Plan funding. And we do have good engineer estimates. Thank you, Danny. So a lot going on. I can't even keep up with all that. That's why we got other people handling.
I think that's
All
great.
good things.
Yeah. Yep.
Yep,
Absolutely.
all good projects.
Anything else, Mr. Martin?
No, ma'am.
Okay. Mr. City Attorney?
Mayor, I'm pleased to report you have no new litigation. And no old litigation for me to report on.
Very good. Thank you. Commissioner Gardner?
It's a season of thankfulness, and so I just wanted to say thank you. I know that there's many volunteer organizations, and they've done a lot, particularly in honoring our veterans. This last Thursday, the Veterans Day ceremony was awesome to see those young kids and the dedication they've done there. And I know it's the 10th year, so congratulations to them and to you for Clewiston High School. Go Tigers. It's amazing. On that same theme of being thankful for our veterans, there is a Wreaths Across America ceremony, December the 18th, 2021, of course, at 10 a.m. in Civic Park. And this is a national program. I think you can go to the wreathsacrossamerica.org and look at that program. And there's going to be the laying of the wreaths at Clewiston Cemetery and also at the two Harlem cemeteries. But the actual event will be on December 18th at 10 a.m. in the morning in the Civic Park. And I think if there's anybody who wants to help out with that, I think Kathy probably has information and contact for all that. But it's well worth it to be able to lay Christmas wreaths on the veterans' graves. So just thankful for so many things. Oh, I do have one question. Apologize. Have we issued any permits at all, or has anybody requested permits for Commerce Park on any activity out there?
Yes.
Yeah, we have one permit right now in process. The lead time is about 40 weeks on a metal building.
Cool.
Actually, it's two metal buildings, two 30,000 square
They're
foot.
gonna get supplies.
60,000 square foot under air conditioning factory buildings.
And how long did you say the lead time was?
42 weeks, so it can back up. Maybe it's down to around 38 weeks now, but not happy developers or contractors right now.
But they will obviously
Can't get
begin the
your
project
material.
and do site work prior to that, but that is a long delay.
Wait
That
for
one's been
material.
approved, and of course, the board approved the
Right.
site plan, and we've had
Correct.
inquiries on the others, but you hadn't issued
Yeah,
any
that's
yet.
the only
That's the only
one.
permits that are in process.
Thank you.
Mr. Commissioner Thompson? Got any?
No questions, just as commissioners, it's nice to be in this spot where everything we talk about is positive movement.
Yes, yes, I agree. Commissioner Heisler?
I agree with Greg, but I don't, in all fairness, I don't know what it's like to sit up here and have to talk about negative things, so maybe I won't have to figure that out. We are doing Coffee with the Chief tomorrow morning. That's being sponsored by Roland Martin, or not, no, I'm
Raymond.
sorry, by Raymond, Commissioner Raymond Iglesias, Hendry County Commissioner. And so we're excited to do that, and we're thankful that Tom's always willing to come hang out with us and do those kinds of things. So I encourage you guys to stop by.
Will you deliver?
9 to 10. Yeah, that's kind of hard, huh?
I'm going to get to one of them. I'm going to get to one of them.
Just 9 to 10. It's not too bad. And then, where are we? Have we advertised for the youth recreation?
Yes, and I've received some additional applications.
Okay.
Okay. Screening those at this time.
And what about our chief position? What is the plan?
I
for
hope
that?
to have an update to you at or during or both, if not prior to at the workshop
Okay.
later this month.
Okay.
That's
Thank
my
you.
plan. May have an announcement or whatever. I anticipate.
Okay. Good deal. I think that's it. I was just wondering about those two positions. I really want to see us get somebody in recreation because it's time to start looking for, things for the summer programs and stuff like that.
And now's the time to
And
do
for
it.
the young to the old.
Yeah.
I saw where City Fort Myers, and I sent it to the city manager, they're doing a recreation park for seniors, retirees.
Dog park for seniors would be good. I'm just saying.
Dog park in general would be
I
good.
hate to get off track or off color, but there was a skit on Saturday Night Live Saturday night about man parks. That gets a little gender sensitive, but
Dog park first.
the ladies
I
were
agree.
having fun on it with man parks.
That's too funny. Commissioner Pittman.
I'm very thankful too about things that are going on in our city, especially the events we had in October, and then of course with our Veterans Week last week. Hats off to the high school kids that are color guard. The only update I was looking for tonight maybe is on we talked about getting credit card machines, and we were going to put them in one specific department first. Where are we with that?
Sherry, you want to update them on your recent achievement to relay? I mentioned it to the board, but it hadn't been announced publicly with regard to
US.
cash. The cash.
Card readers.
Yeah, well,
Point of
he
sale.
specifically asked about automated collections, but I wanted you to update them on your recent achievement, and then any updates you want to give on the rest of it.
The pooled cash, I don't know.
Yeah,
if
on
you
pool cash.
recall,
If you could give a public update on that, that's a big achievement for
Sherry
her.
Howell Finance. Yes, we started working on the credit card machines and the cash receipts in the different departments. And I will admit it kind of got put on the back burner simply because when we had the audit, you may recall we had a comment about the pooled cash. And so when I got a comment, that really took precedence. And and we were right in the thick of the budget as well. So I have been working with the pooled cash, on the pooled cash project. And so we are now on pooled cash like we're supposed to be. There'll be some reconciliation work that I have to do, but we're with that. And now technically all of that has to go together with cash receipts to work with our system. And so I'm saying all that to say that that's the next thing that's coming. I mean, now that we have that in place, it'll be easy to tie everything in together.
And as stated, that was critical because we did want to resolve that audit finding as quickly as possible. And so this will resolve, because they had told us about it the year before. They put it as a
Yes.
finding this year. So we have now fixed that. So the next steps can include the automated collection.
Yes, and there's some settings. I wanted to go ahead and do the pooled cash first because I didn't want to have to go back and change settings
in regards, I just didn't want to have to circle back.
Thank you for bringing it up. And so I could give her the opportunity to showcase, because they did a great job of getting that done.
Thank you, Sherry.
That's all.
That's all? Very good. I was going to comment on Coffee with the Chief also. I just appreciate you guys pulling that together, the accessibility for the public to be able to come and sit down and have that conversation. I pulled up to the police department the other day, and this is where my thankfulness comes from. And I see the chief out there in a shamrock t-shirt covered in plaster because he's in there doing sweat equity in his department to make sure that it's coming together the way he wants it. I mean, you can't ask for more than that. I'm sorry. To have that buy-in and have officers willingly out there with him, giving him a hand, I think that speaks volumes. Yeah, even more to me than the uniform does. Danny and Libby, I leave early for church because I'm going to drive around the city and see how things are going. I run across them every time. They're out there early in the mornings, riding together, pair of eyes out each side. What can we make better? What can we do? How are things going? You drive down the street, and bless their heart, the guys that are driving the big trucks, you get a wave, they stop, they take. Where else does that happen? I'm thankful that I live here and that I get to be a part of that, and that we get to collectively look out for those people who are willing to do that for all of us. The mosquito guy, when he goes by spraying and he sees me with the dogs in the yard, turns the spray off, he waves when he gets by. Any other place, I'd be running to get those fuzz bags inside, I'm thankful. I'm just thankful for all of you, the people that you have in your departments, and how they look out for us. I wouldn't have that anywhere else that I lived. So please tell everybody that we said thank you. Public Works, out there working on the vehicles, your guys that are hanging off those electric lines. I'm afraid of electricity. It's not a job that I want to have. I can't think of the last time that my lights blinked or went out. We just have really good services, and I'm thankful. Thank you. I won't be here for Christmas. I won't be here for the December meeting. So please convey blessings for Thanksgiving. And he is risen. He is risen indeed for Christmas. Thank you.
Right.
Madam Mayor, I do have one question to the city attorney. I apologize. Is there a formal introduction of a four-legged animal that we should do?
Right.
Well, it's my senior associate.
Senior.
Finally
Slash
came.
mascot.
That's Maisie. So I may have told this joke before, but what is maize in Spanish?
Corn.
So what do we have here? A corn dog.
There you go.
Only appropriate in our office.
Aw.
That's
He has to come meet the girls.
adorable.
He's senior over Dylan, right?
Yeah. Dylan's got a long way to catch up to that dog.
One day.
There you go. She's a sweetheart.
Something to work
It's always
for.
good to see them.
Well, if we have nothing else, I believe we're at that point where, we got a motion to adjourn from Pittman. We have a second. No, second from myself.
You might want to go home
All in
with you.
favor?
Aye.
Aye. Thank you. Meeting is adjourned at 5:53.